Hello there. Hi there. Presence and potential. Experience your higher self. It has been a joy for me to read this, words that I've said, spoken many times. It's been also a journey through imperfections and wishing it was edited differently and things like that before it went into print, and an absolute surrender to the will and the way of it. So I know in some way you've been blessed by it if you've read it or thought about it or you followed along for these chapters. And encourage you to stay close to them, any of them that you have meaning in, to keep the work close to you ever how you have to. MarthaCreek.com, there's a free newsletter there that comes out once a month. At the bottom, you just put your email in, and a YouTube channel where all these are you're likely viewing now. And it helps the teachings to get them out in the world for you to like and subscribe here. Accept solitude. Sometimes we're going to stand alone. Have you noticed? Others won't understand us at times. It may appear that others are not there for us, that they don't support us, or even they're actually against us. This is where the practice of accepting solitude becomes vital. To take time away to think, to get clear about who you are, who you've come here to be on the earth, and to think about what is yours to do and what is not yours to do. What is your responsibility? What's your actual responsibility? And what's not actually your responsibility? What's some examples? Take time. Be quiet. Use prayer or meditation or fasting for restoration, silence, reflection, reading. Whatever helps you to remember you, whatever helps you to remember your divine nature, some way for you to remember what is true for you, what matters to you, and what actually doesn't. Take some time in solitude, not solitude in reactivity, like I'm out of here, but solitude that's purposeful and intentional, that says, I need to gain some space for myself. I need some space and time to clear my own mind. I need to clarify what I'm thinking about this. Maybe even to inquire, is what I'm thinking true? I also need to clarify what I will and won't do in certain situations. I need to clarify it through my highest, best thinking, not through some emotional knee jerk reactivity, until I can see what possibilities actually exist for me. My need and desire and responsibility for solitude is one of the most important things to me in my personal life and in my profession. I actually take solitude, times of solitude, truly take it. For the past 40 years, I have scheduled myself off the grid, so to speak, without technology, newspapers, and the outside world for 10-day periods at a time. I engage in deep meditative practices such as Vipassana meditations, which is 10 days of silence, noble silence, where you actually don't look anyone in the eye, read, or engage in any other person or modality other than meditation, in complete silence, no talking whatsoever. I've taken mystery school initiations and rituals to practice this. I've gifted myself with 10 days of sequestering myself to rest and restore, which felt vital to my well being. In my earlier years, my 20s, I needed so much time for solitude and couldn't find it. I didn't see a place for it in such a busy life. Going to college, working two full time jobs, two part time jobs a majority of the time. Luckily, people assumed because of how busy I was during the week that I would be just as busy on the weekends. I used these assumptions to my advantage and took at least one weekend a month alone and in silence, even as a young girl. I believe this practice allowed me to keep myself together during some of the most intense times when I was working so many jobs and going to college full time. This solitary practice made it possible for me to use the bandwidth that I possessed more effectively. Having designated times of solitude is what makes it possible for me to run the bandwidth that I still do 40 years later now. Creating solitude has meant doing some very courageous and often uncomfortable things, like saying no to having roommates, sharing hotel rooms at times, or even sharing my bed. I've had to say no over the years to my sleep is too important for me to share this bed space with somebody else. It means saying yes to taking some trips by myself, having a private room, eating meals by myself in silence at times, and yes, sequestering myself from the outside world. Some people are not wired this way. They find it shocking and even scary when someone wants or needs the kind of solitary time that I need to create for myself. I don't recommend this for other people. This is simply what's vital for me. For me, solitude frees, gives me strength, vitality, renewal, rejuvenation, and restoration. The same time in solitude could very well put somebody else in a psych ward. There is no formula for how much solitude each of us needs. As much as I need it and depend on it, to some degree, solitude is not for everybody. To accept solitude in your life means not pushing against solitude. Many people want the benefits of solitude, but their self talk or inner critic is so strong they can't even be alone with their own thoughts. Practice simply being in a room without distractions or background noise and see how it goes for you. Practice accepting the everyday solitude that occurs in your life, even moments of solitude, without filling up that space. That concludes presence and potential. God bless you. Richest blessings always. Thank you for what you're doing out in the world.